I ran a poetry open mic called the Cafe Gallery. It was started at the cafe originally. It was from an open mic that started with David Rubin, then went to Charlie Newman, then went to me, and because I had to leave Chicago, it was passed on to Dave Getchik. And right now, coronavirus, everybody's, sitting still and not able to go out in public. And so I thought about the time when I would show up for my open mics at times on a Tuesday night from 7 to 9, and because there was a music event afterward, it had to end, so I had to be able to start it actually at 7, and because poets are always late, I would start early. I would start by reading from newly released Scars Publications books. I'm always pleasantly pleased to do work with Scars Publications, and they've got cool books, and so I thought 5 years afterward, in honor of that, I'd do a 2020 release of live readings that would only take up the beginning of what normally would be the poetry open mic. So I thought I would read some poetry from the Existential Threats section of the CC&D Down in the Dirt May to August 2020 issue collection book that is titled Outside the Box. And it's a cool book. It has references to Austin in it for the box that's looking up to the sky. But this was a Chicago open mic, so I thought I would share these poems with you. I hope you guys like them. First was going to start with this one that is written, that was thanks to people like Avron, who suggested writing poems that are Twitter length for elements in the periodic table. And this is one of them here, and it's called Cesium for Certainty. Threats keep increasing. Find our GPS for time, log in your protests and crimes to the nanosecond. It takes too much to keep this city clean. We wonder if this is the worst of times, or if this is just one of those times. With too much to do, I can't lose a second in 100 million years to keep up. A bunch of Twitter-length poems, and this was actually, that was something that was also released with an Instagram image. You will not be able to see it, but I'm showing it, but it appears in this book as well. If you look at things online, you can find Instagram images for short poems like that as well. But here in a section toward the back of this section of the Down in the Dirt book, Outside the Box, is a bunch of poems. This first one is called Voluptuous and Intelligent Too. And I've got my husband's reading glasses. This is so tiny that I have to use. This was written after hearing about Chicago Tribune news reporter Maureen Dallas Watkins, who, after reporting about female murderers who dressed up and they wore makeup and they styled their hair and they acted all feminine, they would get out of murder charges. So she wrote a play on it, and it actually became adapted later into the musical Chicago. So this was all actually basically on a true story. I had to, that was really tiny print for all that stuff there. This is called Voluptuous and Intelligent Too. Too many times men treated me as if I couldn't have a brain, and they objectified me every chance they could take. I was thrown into their male-dominated den, but I learned fast. I had the brains, but I could still also use what made men weak. You see, I wore miniskirts, plunging necklines, and padded bras, and I learned how to flip my hair and act ignorant. Because, get a load of this, being intelligent doesn't work with men's notions of objectification. So I played my part. I was adored, and the men actually thought that I was a natural blonde. But I knew exactly how to play their game, because I could flaunt my wares just enough to make men salivate. I allowed men to adore until I could show them a thing or two about being intelligent, too. This next poem for you was written on World Environment Day. This next poem for you from this book, Outside the Box, it is called Escape to Peace. We create and build our environment. We look to escape to peace and tranquility. If only we lived in a green environment and not such a gray one. Because once we close our head, and once we clear our head of all of that, of our treated, integrated pollutions, we become aware of the external pollution. Smokestacks and car exhaust fumes choke us. Even industrial farming pollutes the environment, using up our environment to kill en masse. We pollute our earth as we pollute our minds, as we wonder what more we can do to finally feel at peace in our environment again. You know, I'm starting to feel like I'm at this open mic because it was really dark. It'd be hard to read in here, and it's getting to be darker, and I'm having a harder time reading. So I'm going to see if these reading glasses from John will help, because it actually helps with the lower light, I think. Because this next poem is called Sledgehammers and Cheers. And it was written on the anniversary of the day that President Reagan tells Gorbachev to tear down that wall. So this is for that. It's called Sledgehammers and Cheers. Caustic. That was you trying to win me over, claiming any of my freedoms that I struggled for. I had to escape. I had to break free. And yeah, you were the smooth talker. You promised peace and prosperity. But as soon as you got your claws into me, you tried to reduce me to nothing and tell me that this horrendous hole was where I belonged. But I knew better, and I didn't care what strong-arm tactics you used. I was stronger than this, and I would use all my mind to not only gain freedom, but also gain wealth, and gain knowledge, and spread wealth, and spread knowledge, and spread freedom. You thought you could pull the wool over my eyes, over everyone's eyes, but our freedom is ultimately stronger than you. So, fight you I did. You knew you couldn't suck me in, but you thought that wouldn't stop you from taking others in too. So you built walls, and you flexed your muscles, and you tried to be the one with the ultimate control. But after so much time, there was only so much everyone could take. So when people on both sides of your precious wall kept trying to hear each other through the armed guards, through the crumbling concrete, when everyone was sick and tired of your oppression, I thought, I know a thing or two about concrete. I know that concrete can do, so I had to speak. Tear down that wall, is all I could say. And after that, the masses came with sledgehammers and cheers, because all of us knew that your idea of how it should be could never be the way for the world, including me. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, from this first reading, I hope you're enjoying that. I think I've got 5 more poems I'm going to share with you in this section. And this next one I've got was written on Nature Photography Day. Nature Photography Day. And there's a nice shot of the nature of the sky for this cover. Not that that applies, but anywho, this poem is the next one that I was going to read for you. And it's called Orange Clouds and Blood Red Sunsets. My years of photography schooling in college was designed to prep me for photojournalism, catching the action for the big reported story. With that camera as an extension of my right arm, I'd be ready at a moment's notice to swing that camera up to my eye when the time was just right. And I may be no Ansel Adams recording wind speeds and altitudes and longitudes for photos, but with this catching the camera mentality ingrained in my head, I'd stumble upon nature scenes. Now, I'd have to share them now with the world. It's on impulse, but when you see something so breathtaking, your only thought is to share it with the world. Dormant trees laden with snow at a creek at an overpass, reflecting the cloud-filled sky. Or orange clouds creating a one-of-a-kind mystery in the sky only you can decipher. Then catch the sun through clouds on a rainy day, or in blood-red sunset over the Pontchartrain, or catch that instant the sun peeks out, seconds after a total eclipse. See the sun setting from 50,000 feet in the air and capture the divide between day and night from on high. Catch rare footprint shadows from the snow. Get onto a boat and get into the water and capture icebergs and glaciers, or all the shards of ice like glass scattered in the water that makes the sea look like a crossword puzzle with pieces scattered about. Find lone trails along mountains, or stop when you see a massive field of giant sunflowers. Don't forget the pollinating bee you may see on dying daisies, and go back to those intense blue waters breaking at the shoreline. Wait, what about that moss hanging from plantation trees down in the southern United States, which remind you of the trees brimming with life at the highlands, or in the bamboo forests in Puerto Rico? Because from ice to snow to lakes or ponds, that nature is too brimming with life. So, journalist, photographer, stop looking for people in all of your actions sometimes. Nature has so much majestic, breathtaking, mind-boggling action to share. And in an instant, these moments are gone too. And that is worth sharing. This next one is a really short one. And it seems fitting that it is immediately after the poem that's talking about taking nature photography photos, because this was written on National Camera Day, and it's called Kept My Eye on You. And I'm even going to show, for anybody that could see it, that when there's a short poem, it might actually be also released with an Instagram photo that appears on Twitter and Facebook and, as I said, Instagram, Pinterest, Tumblr, whatnot. So it even has a little picture with it. I don't know if anybody can see it, but this is a short one called Kept My Eye on You. I've kept my eye on you. You say I'm obsessed, and you fear the bullet sound, but that's just my shutter. The camera shutter, not the... Anywho, I've got two more I would like to share with you. This one is, well, it might be personal for me, but it's an interesting history piece for you guys, I hope. This was written on the anniversary of the day in 1940 when the communist government took over Lithuania. And you're like, why are you sharing a lot? Well, I'm half Lithuanian, so these are my people. These are my people. So I had to write for this one, and this poem in honor of that is called Vanquished by the Sleeping Giant. We draw strength from our past experiences. When only light and truth could guide our steps, we have no choice but to remember our battles. We now dread what bloodshed may lay ahead when a sleeping giant just past our borders once went in and took us over, nearly destroying us. We fought back then, recovered independence, wearily tethering out small states together again. We must. And so, but why must we fight such an unforgiving enemy? Who do we hold accountable but a faceless face we're supposed to revere as a supreme comrade? What more can we do to prove to you that it is we who should be treated with solemn respect, we with true dignity? Our people have fought you without question for far too many years, and now we live in a fractured society because of your reign. Wanting to take us over, you now provide the truly wicked, thinly veiled ultimatum to take us over, which only means you could infiltrate us, and we have no choice in this point of the battle, but we had to just welcome you in. But it is you who do not understand. We could not, in good conscience, do this. If your war will continue to rage on, know that the battles will be in ours in the end. They talk about the little ones winning the war, coming back from the darkness when all was lost. This is why I said past experiences is where we draw our strength. Only light and truth could guide our steps. We remember our battles. We stand proud of our past and our future. And if we will always remember and we will always embrace our culture and our history forever. It's so hard when it's such a tiny little country that was taken over by Russia and they try to get their pieces back and they try to function, and you seldom hear things about small, Latvia's near us anyway. But so just a little bit of history for the battles that small countries would have to face when some behemoth like Russia, the Soviet Union, the USSR would just step in and be like, we can just take you over, right? Because we can. And it's heartbreaking to see the battles of where you're from, what people have to go through just to try to keep their history. But anyway, I'm going to share one more poem with you guys for this section. I hope you were enjoying this reading. The readings that would normally happen at the beginning of the Cafe Gallery open mic, which is why I'm reading now, 5 years later. This is a poem that was written on Juneteenth, the only known day to celebrate the ending of slavery in the U.S. This is a poem that's called Feeling of False Ownership. They say they gave us human rights months ago. Isn't it funny, having to pass a law to give us rights? Don't we have inalienable rights? Where did they go? But still, the farther south you traveled in this country, the harder it was for white men to treat us as human. In the Midwest, all the way to Chicago, we were equals. But it seems that Texas, in particular, didn't want to shake that feeling of false ownership, and we had to pay for it. Maybe it took too long for Lincoln's proclamation to reach Texas, but it wasn't until June 19th when Union General Gordon Granger read General Order Number 3 in Galveston that stated that we were free. General Order Number 3. Those 4 words were music to our ears, though I'm still blown away that we had to fight a war. A war had to be fought and proclamations had to be made all across this country to proclaim something that we've known in our hearts, in our souls, forever. When this day finally came to us, call it Juneteenth, it truly did lift each and every heart and each and every voice up to sing. Hallelujah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of the reincarnation, in a manner of speaking, of the Cafe Gallery open mic. It is not reinstating the open mic because it was passed along to Dave Getchick, but this is just a matter of appreciating the things that I used to do at the beginnings of open mics. I might do another reading for you guys because there might be time for one more reading because sometimes I'd have room. 15 minutes up to a half hour. So I hope you're enjoying these readings and thank you very much. I hope everyone is staying safe in these times. I hope everyone is remaining poetically inclined, and for each and every one of you out there, I hope you know that you are loved. Thank you all. Thank you so very much.